The Vanishing Flight by Edwina Longbottom. Chapter 1. The Empty Jet. Fog rolled across the tarmac at Heathrow Airport, smothering the runway lights in a hazy glow. In the control tower, a dozen eyes were fixed on the radar screen.
Tower to Flight 227, do you copy?
Static replied. The green blip moved steadily across the display, aligning perfectly with runway 9. Every system said the aircraft was alive, but its radio had been dead for 15 minutes.
Flight 227, acknowledge. You are cleared for landing.
No response, just the steady roar of engines growing louder through the glass. The Airbus A320 broke through the fog like a ghost, wheels kissing the asphalt with flawless precision. Reverse thrusters engaged, brakes hissed. The jet slowed to taxi speed, graceful as choreography.
It's flying itself.
The tower went silent. Ground crews scrambled, chasing the rolling jet with service vehicles. The plane came to a perfect stop at gate C-17, and still, not a single voice came from the cockpit. An engineer named Tom Barrow was first up the stairs. His flashlight beam cut through the cabin's windows. Every seat looked empty. His boots clanged on the metal steps.
Flight 227, you're clear to disembark.
He reached the cabin door. It was ajar. He pushed it gently, hinges squealing. The smell hit first: disinfectant, plastic, and something faintly metallic, like a coin pressed to the tongue. Rows of empty seats stretched in both directions, seatbelts fastened neatly, tray tables locked, windows pulled down. Not a jacket, not a phone, not a crumb of food.
Hello, crew, passengers.
His words echoed in the silence. Tom reached the cockpit door. It swung open easily. Both pilot seats were empty, autopilot humming. Control panels glowed steady green. No alarms, no errors. Only one thing was out of place: the captain's headset, dangling gently, swaying as though it had just been removed. By dawn, the story had exploded. Every newsroom in London led with the same headline: passenger jet lands with no one aboard. Journalist Lena Cross sat hunched over her laptop in a cafe opposite Heathrow, the glow of her screen painting her face pale. Her inbox had tripled overnight. Editors, producers, bloggers, everyone wanted her take. She had built her reputation chasing stories the government wanted quiet, and Flight 227 was about to become the loudest mystery of her career.
Source confirms cockpit was locked from inside. Maintenance logs show nothing unusual, no distress call, no signs of forced entry, just gone.
She rubbed her temples, replaying the facts. The flight left Athens at 1804 with 173 passengers, 6 crew. Every one of them scanned through security. Families waved at the gate. Cameras caught them boarding. And yet, when the plane landed at 2141, it was empty. Lena's phone buzzed. Caller Ethan Hale, Aviation Safety Bureau, ex-military, reputation, uncompromising. Cross, heard you're sniffing around. Careful, this one's bigger than your blog.
Tell me you've got something real, not just bureaucratic smoke.
I've seen the black box. The recording cuts at 31,000 feet, clean, sharp, like someone pulled the plug on reality.
Lena froze. Flight recorders were built to survive anything. Fire, impact, even ocean depths. They didn't just cut.
I want to hear it.
You don't.
Hours later, Lena found herself inside Hangar 12, a restricted zone sealed with military tape. The A320 sat in eerie stillness, floodlights bathing its white fuselage. Ethan Hale stood by the nose gear, arms crossed, expression carved from stone.
5 minutes, stay close.
They boarded together. Lena's shoes squeaked on the pristine carpet. The cabin looked staged, like a showroom model. But then she noticed details the news hadn't shown. A half-empty water bottle under seat 14B. A scarf tangled in the overhead bin. A child's stuffed rabbit jammed between cushions in row 23. Traces of lives, abandoned mid-flight.
They didn't just vanish at the gate, they vanished up there.
Ethan guided her to the cockpit. A laptop was hooked to the black box interface. He pressed play.
Altitude steady, turbulence minimal, cabin secure.
Static crackled. Then a woman's scream tore through the recording, abrupt, piercing. Then silence. A hollow tone echoed, low and metallic, almost like a bell tolling underwater.
Don't look. Cut. End of recording.
That wasn't mechanical. That was...
Something we're not equipped to explain.
That night, Lena received an anonymous message. No text, just a video file. She clicked play. The screen filled with grainy footage, passengers laughing, seatbelt signs flashing, the hum of flight. A man's voice joked about turbulence. Then the cabin lights flickered. One by one, passengers stiffened. Their heads turned toward the aisle in unison, as though hearing something she couldn't. The phone jerked, dropped, the camera sliding under a seat. For 5 seconds, all Lena saw was darkness and muffled breathing. Then the image froze on a single frame, a row of empty seats.
This was uploaded after the plane landed.
Outside her window, Heathrow's control tower blinked red in the distance. Lena felt a chill crawl her spine. Flight 227 hadn't been the first, and it wouldn't be the last. Chapter 2. The Passenger List. By sunrise, the world had already moved from disbelief to frenzy. Television anchors wore faces of studied shock. News tickers scrolled in red. Where did Flight 227's passengers go? In Heathrow's Terminal 3, chaos reigned. Families clutched photographs demanding answers. Police lines strained. The smell of coffee and sweat mixed with grief. Every face carried the same haunted question. Where are they? Lena Cross pushed through the crowd, notebook in hand, camera phone recording. This was her battlefield.
Excuse me, ma'am, who was aboard?
A woman in her 50s thrust a passport toward her. Tears streaked her cheeks.
My son. He called me from Athens. He said he'd be home in 3 hours. They say he's not on the manifest anymore.
The word anymore hung like smoke. Lena scrawled furiously, adrenaline burning through exhaustion. She'd been awake 20 hours, but the story was widening, slipping beyond a simple missing plane mystery. The list. By mid-morning, a corrected passenger manifest was leaked online. Lena spread the printout across her cafe table, highlighting names in yellow. It didn't add up. Number 1. 14 passengers who boarded in Athens, caught clearly on CCTV, were missing from the updated list. 2. 3 new names appeared, all with no digital footprint. No bank accounts, no addresses, no immigration history. 3. Seat 17A was listed as empty. Families swore otherwise.
You can't vanish paperwork this fast without intent. Someone wants this rewritten.
Her phone buzzed. A blocked number. Cross, stop chasing lists. It won't end well.
Inspector Hale, you sound worried. That's new.
They're changing records faster than we can confirm them. This isn't incompetence, it's orchestration. In a corner of the terminal, Lena met with a cluster of families huddled like survivors after a storm. Mothers held photos, children clutched teddy bears. Please, tell me what they've told you so far. An older man, eyes bloodshot, leaned close. They told me my daughter missed the flight, that she never boarded, but I saw her on the CCTV they showed us last night, and now the footage is gone. Others nodded. Same story, different details. Passengers erased from history in real time.
Ghosts aren't just in the sky, they're in the records too.
On her way out, Lena noticed a woman in an airport staff jacket watching her too intently. Their eyes met. The woman slipped a folded paper into Lena's coat pocket before vanishing into the crowd. Back in her rented flat, Lena unfolded the paper. A single line was typed. Block letters. Check tomorrow's flight 229, row 12. Below it, a list of 20 names. Lena's eyes scanned until she froze. Her chest tightened. The last name on the list was Lena Cross. She stormed into Hale's temporary office at Heathrow's Safety Bureau. Piles of reports, glowing monitors, exhausted staff.
You want to explain this?
She slammed the list onto his desk. Hale scanned it, expression unchanged.
They're marking targets.
My name shouldn't be there.
Neither should half the passengers yesterday, but here we are.
For the first time, Lena saw something almost like fear behind his military discipline.
Cross. If you're on that list, you're already inside the game.
Hale led her down service corridors into a secure sub-basement. Steel doors, fingerprint locks. Inside, a black room investigation lab humming with servers. On the main screen, passenger data flickered. Lines of code scrolled, identities shifting in real time. Names appeared, disappeared. This isn't hackers. This is coming from inside government servers. Whole families erased as though they never lived.
And they've started with me.
The system blinked. A fresh entry appeared on the manifest for Flight 229 scheduled tonight. Seat 12A, passenger, Cross Lena. No matter what she did, the future was already boarding her. Lena stared at the glowing screen, her name pulsing like a heartbeat. Hale leaned in, voice barely audible.
They don't just erase, they recruit.
Outside, the distant roar of a departing jet shook the walls. Somewhere above them, Flight 229 was preparing for takeoff, and Lena Cross already had a seat reserved. Chapter 3. The Voice on the Recorder. The black room hummed with the sound of servers. the air sharp with recycled chill. Lena Cross stared at her name on the screen, her pulse drumming in her ears. It wasn't just that she was listed for Flight 229, it was the certainty of it, as though reality itself had already checked her in. Ethan Hale leaned against the console, jaw tight. "You want proof this goes beyond paperwork? I'll show you." He led her into a smaller chamber at the back of the lab. Thick glass walls, insulated foam. A black recorder sat connected to an analysis terminal, lights flickering like a pulse.
This is Flight 227's CVR, cockpit voice recorder. You've heard the public clip, the scream, the silence. What you haven't heard is what comes after. He pressed play.
At first, static hissed, then a garbled voice, low and trembling.
1212 aisle, the bell tolls. Lena stiffened. The voice repeated, warped by interference. It's not just panic, it's deliberate, like he's trying to get a message out.
And the number, 12, same as your seat assignment. Hale introduced Lena to Dr. Mira Chen, a neuroscientist contracted by the Bureau. She looked too young for her credentials, black hair tied in a precise knot, eyes sharp with sleepless focus.
I've been studying anomalous auditory patterns, what you just heard. She replayed the clip, slowed 20%. The voice elongated, distortion peeling back. Don't sit in 12, don't sit in 12.
The room went still.
He was trying to warn someone, maybe everyone.
Or maybe just you.
Hours later, the three of them huddled in a windowless conference space, papers scattered, coffee cooling untouched.
Why cover this up? Why erase manifests if it's a mechanical fault?
Because it's not mechanical. If the truth leaks, flights worldwide would be grounded. Billions lost. Chaos. And that's just the surface. Mira leaned forward, voice even.
Think of it like this. The human brain perceives time as linear, but if a temporal disturbance occurred mid-air, every person exposed could have been displaced, shifted. Not dead, but not here. Lena shivered. You're saying they're alive, somewhere else. I'm saying we don't know, but the pattern suggests intelligence, a signal, seat numbers, phrases. Someone or something is choosing.
Hale's phone buzzed. He frowned, shielding the screen. A new email had arrived. No sender, subject line empty. He opened it. 3 words appeared in plain text. Stop or join them. Attached, an audio file. He pressed play.
Hale, it's you next.
The 3 exchanged looks.
They know your name.
Lena dug through archives as rain lashed against the bureau windows. Reports surfaced from decades past. A 1954 propeller flight from Lisbon to London landed empty. Records lost. A 1971 jet from Rome to Paris, 45 passengers never found. Newspapers called it the Phantom Flight. A 1996 cargo plane that touched down in Hamburg with its crew missing. Each case buried within weeks, survivors' families silenced, manifests rewritten.
It's a pattern, every 20 years, give or take, and always over Europe. Mira tapped the desk, eyes narrowed. The disturbances may cluster along specific flight corridors, a corridor of silence.
Lena couldn't sleep. She wandered Heathrow's deserted concourses near midnight, the hum of fluorescent lights echoing like insects. She paused at Gate 22. An aircraft idled beyond the glass, floodlights bouncing off its fuselage. Her phone buzzed, another blocked message. A single sentence, if you want answers, sit in row 12. Her own reflection stared back at her in the glass. Pale, tired, already half-haunted. Back at the bureau, Lena slammed the message onto Hale's desk.
They want me in that seat, and if I don't go, someone else will. So, what's the play?
The play is to burn that manifest and vanish yourself. Go off-grid until this blows over.
I don't run from stories. Mira's voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed fear. If you board, you may not come back. Then I'll bring something back with me.
The Bureau's monitors flared as a new radar blip appeared, red against green. Another plane approaching from Athens, transponder code missing. A duty officer shouted coordinates. Hale froze. Mira leaned forward. Lena gripped the edge of the desk. On the main screen, the label appeared in blinking text. Flight 229, ETA 312. And beneath it, a passenger list auto-populated in real time. Seat 12A Cross Lena. Seat 12B Hale Ethan. Neither of them had booked a ticket. Chapter 4. The Disappearance Pattern. The rain hadn't stopped all night. Heathrow glistened under floodlights, a hive that refused to sleep. In the Bureau's black room, Lena Cross leaned over the growing stack of files Mira Chen had compiled. Dates, routes, manifests, all pointing to a hidden history of vanishings. The hum of servers filled the silence. Ethan Hale stood near the doorway, arms crossed, eyes heavy from hours without rest.
These flights spanned 70 years, every decade, every continent, and every one of them scrubbed clean within days, passengers erased, records rewritten, families silenced.
You're assuming a pattern. Aviation history is messy. Disappearances happen.
Not like this, Mira cut in, her tone measured. Same flight paths, same atmospheric corridors, same residue in the black box, warped signals, repeated numbers.
On the wall screen, a map lit up with red lines stretching across Europe like arteries. At their intersection, a corridor between Athens and London.
The silence corridor.
Mira unlocked a steel drawer and placed 3 items on the table. A pilot's logbook from 1954, pages water-stained, final entry scrawled, "Don't trust the lights." A gold wristwatch from 1971, hands frozen at 12:07. A child's shoe from 1996, laces stiff with dried salt.
These are all that ever came back. Lena reached for the watch. Its hands ticked faintly against her fingers, though the mechanism was broken. She dropped it, heart hammering. They're markers, like breadcrumbs left behind.
Breadcrumbs for who? We're not chasing fairy tales here. Mira's eyes darkened.
For whoever is still listening.
Later that afternoon, Lena met the families again. The terminal had become a vigil. Candles lined the floor, handwritten notes taped to walls. A young woman showed her a photo of her brother, boarding pass in hand.
He texted me from his seat, row 12. Then, nothing. Now they tell me his name's not even on the list. Lena felt the weight of the shoe, the logbook, the watch. Evidence stacked against denial.
I'll make sure his name is remembered. At 10:14 p.m., alarms shrieked in the bureau. A radar tech shouted across the room.
Flight 340 out of Munich just went dark. Mid-air, no comms, no transponder.
All eyes locked on the screen. The blip flickered, then split into 2. One path veered sharply upward before vanishing. The other continued steady toward London.
2 signatures like 2 planes flying the same body. Mira whispered under her breath. The shadow copy. The room fell silent as the steady blip continued descent. Another one's about to land.
Lena and Hale drove through sheets of rain, tires hissing against soaked asphalt. Floodlights painted the tarmac as Flight 340 touched down. Graceful, perfect. Ground crews swarmed, doors hissed open. For a breathless moment, everyone expected emptiness again. But then,
There's someone inside.
a single passenger stumbled down the stairs. A man in his 30s, barefoot, clothes torn, skin pale as paper. His eyes darted unfocused, lips trembling.
Sir, what happened up there? He collapsed into Lena's arms, voice ragged, barely human.
The aisle of silence, faces without mouths, he convulsed. Blood flecked his lips. Mira knelt fast, flashlight probing his pupils.
He's hemorrhaging. Pressure drop trauma. He shouldn't even be alive.
The man's hand twitched, shoving something into Lena's palm before seizing. It was a boarding pass. The card was damp, edges curling. Flight 229, London to Athens. Date 17th of June, 2030. Lena's breath hitched. The year was 5 years away.
This hasn't happened yet. Hale's jaw locked, face pale.
Either he's been somewhere else, or he's come back from what hasn't happened.
The man convulsed again, eyes rolling back. His final words rasped out like wind through a tunnel.
The bell tolls, and then he was still.
Minutes later, Division 7 agents stormed the scene. Black uniforms, visors down. Orders barked, evidence seized. The boarding pass ripped from Lena's hand. The body zipped in a bag before questions could form.
You can't just erase him. He walked off that plane. A faceless officer shoved her back.
You saw nothing, but Hale blocked their way, military steel in his posture.
She saw enough, and she's not backing down. The room bristled, but before confrontation could ignite, Mira whispered urgently, "Don't fight them here. We take the data, not the body."
Back in the black room, Lena laid the stolen flash drive onto the table. Data Mira had pulled while the chaos unfolded. The file opened. A video feed. Shaky footage from inside the cabin of Flight 340. Passengers frozen, eyes wide, mouths sealed shut as though erased. The camera jerked, screaming muffled behind silence. Then, in the final frame, a shadowy figure leaned into view, face blurred, voice distorted. Seat 12, bring her. The feed cut. And for the first time, Lena realized this wasn't random, it was targeted. Chapter 5, The Ghost Gate. The Bureau's black room had fallen into silence. The flash drive's video still burned in Lena's mind. Passengers frozen mid-flight, mouths erased, and that blurred figure leaning into the frame, commanding, "Seat 12, bring her." Rain lashed the windows as the three of them, Lena, Hale, Mira, sat in heavy quiet. The weight of inevitability pressed down like cabin pressure before a storm.
Then it's deliberate. Someone's steering these vanishings.
And they've marked you as cargo. Mira closed the laptop, voice calm but eyes unsettled.
We're watching a controlled event, a test, and tonight we'll see it happen live.
At 1:14 a.m., Heathrow's radar room lit with alarms. Controllers shouted across consoles, pointing to a red blip descending out of grease.
Unidentified inbound, no transponder, no comms, flight plan missing. The label scrolled across the main screen, HLHR 229. Lena's blood ran cold.
Flight 229, my flight.
Not if we get ahead of it. Hale grabbed his jacket. Mira was already packing her equipment.
We can intercept in the tower, monitor telemetry live. If it vanishes, we'll see exactly when and how.
The tower loomed against the storm, a spire of glass and steel buzzing with fluorescent light. Inside, controllers worked like surgeons, voices clipped, hands flying over consoles. Lena, Hale, and Mira slipped in under false clearances Hale had pulled from old contacts. The supervisor barely looked at them, too focused on the approaching anomaly.
Object on approach, bearing 184, altitude steady, but we're getting duplicate signals.
On the main radar, two blips now pulsed in parallel. Identical speed, identical heading, one tagged 229A, the other 229B.
The shadow copy.
At 2:47 a.m., as the plane crossed the channel, every light in the tower flickered. Screens sputtered. Radios popped with static.
We've lost comms. A hum filled the air, low, resonant, vibrating the glass like a tuning fork. Mira pressed a recorder to the console, eyes wide.
That's the same frequency from the black box. It's broadcasting now. The hum swelled until Lena felt it inside her chest, rattling her teeth. She pressed her palms to her ears, but the sound was internal, bypassing flesh and bone. And then silence. The screens rebooted.
Blip 229A was gone. Only 229B remained, descending calmly toward Heathrow. Floodlights washed the runway. Flight 229 touched down, flawless. A collective breath held, waiting to see if the cabin was empty. The door opened. A single figure emerged.
He's back.
It was a man in his 30s, barefoot, shirt soaked with rain. His eyes darted like a hunted animal. He staggered down the steps, collapsed to his knees. Security rushed forward, but Lena broke through, kneeling beside him.
Sir, who are you? What happened? He grabbed her wrist with shocking strength, nails digging into her skin.
The Isle of Silence. It's real. It's waiting. His gaze fixed on her, pupils blown wide.
They want you.
As medics lifted him onto a stretcher, the man convulsed, eyes rolling back. From his throat came a sound that wasn't human, a tolling bell, metallic and deep, echoing across the tarmac. Every window in the terminal vibrated. Floodlights dimmed. Mira's recorder spiked into red.
That's not his voice. That's transmission. The man went limp. On his chest, burned into the fabric of his shirt, was a seat number, 12A.
Division 7 stormed the tarmac in black trucks, agents flooding the scene. Evidence stripped, witnesses silenced. Hale shoved Lena toward the service van. Move now. Inside, Mira clutched the recorder. The data spike replayed again, a warped echo. Gate, the ghost gate opens.
They're not talking about airports, they're talking about a doorway.
Back in the black room, Hale slammed the evidence onto the console. Mira ran the recording through spectral analysis. A pattern emerged. Coordinates. Numbers. Lena read them aloud, her voice barely steady.
Lat long, it's not Heathrow, it's over the North Sea. Mira looked up, face pale. A ghost gate, a rupture corridor.
The map zoomed in, and at the exact coordinates, another flight path was already inbound. Flight 342, 200 passengers. ETA, 45 minutes. Chapter 6, The Passenger Returns. They had less than an hour before Flight 342 hit the same ghost gate. But first, they needed answers from the only man who had ever walked off one of these flights alive. Lena Cross paced outside the quarantine bay at Heathrow Medical. The smell of antiseptic and ozone clung to the air. Behind the glass, the returned passenger writhed against restraints, monitors screaming with irregular rhythms. Mira Chen adjusted her mask, calm but rigid. Ethan Hale stood guard by the door, his hand hovering near the holster he hadn't been cleared to carry.
His vitals are spiking. If we don't talk to him now, we may never get a word.
Or we'll wish we hadn't. They stepped inside. The man's eyes snapped open, pupils dilated to drowning black. His voice rasped like gravel dragged across metal.
The Isle of Silence. He coughed violently, crimson flecking the sheet. Mira pressed a stethoscope to his chest, listening as if through a storm.
Cardiac arrhythmia, neurological spikes. He's carrying something inside him. Lena leaned close, recorder in hand.
What happened up there? Where did the others go?
His gaze locked onto hers.
They walked into the bell.
The man's arms strained against straps. His words came in fragments, each one a knife. Faces, rows and rows, staring, no mouths, no screams, just silence. The aisle stretched forever. His body convulsed, monitors shrieking. Mira injected a stabilizer. His chest heaved, but he kept talking, eyes rolling.
They watched me, judged me, and then they chose.
Chose who? His lips curled in a trembling smile. You.
He coughed hard, something clattering onto the floor. Hale stooped fast, retrieving it with gloved hands. A crumpled boarding pass. Lena stared as Hale unfolded it. Flight 229, Seat 12A, date 17th June 2030.
It's the same one from before, but how could he? Mira examined the edges, noting the paper's faint burn marks.
This came from somewhere else, not printed here, not now.
The man convulsed again, back arching. For an instant, his veins lit fire. Before Lena could process, the quarantine bay doors burst open. Division 7 stormed in, weapons raised, visors down.
Step away from the body. Hale moved instinctively between them and Lena, hand twitching toward his empty belt.
You're not burying this one. Not again.
He died delivering evidence. You'll have to kill me before you take it. For a moment, the standoff pulsed like a live wire, but Mira, always the anchor, spoke levelly. We don't need the body. We've got the recording, the boarding pass, and his words. Let them clean up their mess. We'll chase the truth. Reluctantly, Hale stepped back. Agents swept the room, body zipped away. The pass remained clenched in his fist.
Back in the black room, Mira replayed Lena's recorder. The survivor's voice spilled through the speakers, warped with interference. The bell tolls. The bell tolls. Mira ran spectral analysis. Spikes formed into a wave, a repeating pattern. Coordinates.
It's a transmission embedded in his voice. Location North Sea. Same ghost gate.
The realization cracked the air like lightning.
Then that's where the next one will vanish.
A controller burst into the room, breathless.
Flight 3342's on approach, 200 passengers, same corridor. On the main screen, the blip drew closer, shadowed by a duplicate echo. Hale's jaw locked.
We can't let another vanish, not tonight. Lena's hands shook as she stared at the manifest streaming live. Her eyes caught a familiar name. Her breath froze. Seat 12B. Hale, Ethan.
She spun to him, throat tight.
You're on that plane. Hale leaned over the console, staring at the screen. His name pulsed in bright red, already written into the future. The radar blip blinked closer. The shadow copy drew near.
And in that instant, Lena knew the Ghost Gate wasn't just calling her. It was calling them both. Chapter 7. The Pursuit. The Bureau's black room stank of adrenaline and fear. On the radar, Flight 342 drew closer to the Ghost Gate, but Lena Cross's eyes were fixed on something else. Hale's name, glowing red on the live manifest. Seat 12B, already written.
Hale, you're not boarding that flight. We stop this now.
Not my choice anymore. They've marked me. Mira Chen slammed her laptop shut, voice clipped but trembling at the edges.
Then we change the pattern before it swallows you both.
Before they could move, the black room doors crashed open. Division 7 agents stormed in, rifles raised, visors gleaming. A commander stepped forward, voice metallic behind his mask.
You're interfering in classified operations. Step away from the console, now. Hale didn't flinch. You're feeding them names. You're not preventing vanishings. You're choosing who gets taken. The commander tilted his head.
Some cargo is expendable.
Lena's skin prickled. The implication was clear. Passengers weren't victims. They were deliveries. In the chaos, Mira hit the server kill switch. Screens went black. Alarms wailed.
Move! Hale shoved Lena toward the emergency exit. Bullets cracked glass. They sprinted through corridors, boots pounding, security lights strobed red, sirens wailed overhead. Division 7's shadows gave chase.
They burst into the rain-slick car park. Hale hotwired a Bureau sedan in seconds, tires screeching as they tore into the London fog. Headlights sliced mist. Black SUVs loomed in the mirrors, engines howling. Hold tight! The sedan fishtailed onto the motorway. Division 7 closed in, rifles flashing through open windows. Glass shattered, sparks flying. Lena ducked low, heart hammering.
They're trying to kill us. Hale's jaw was steel. No, they're trying to capture us.
On the overpass, a shot rang out. Hale jerked, blood blooming across his shoulder. The wheel lurched. The car smashed through a barrier, skidding onto a service road. Mira pressed a cloth to the wound, her voice urgent but controlled.
Through and through. Stay awake. Don't you dare pass out. Hale gritted his teeth, hands white-knuckled on the wheel. I've taken worse. Lena gripped the dashboard, panic clawing her throat. You're bleeding out.
I'm still driving.
They ditched the sedan in an industrial estate, ducking into an abandoned warehouse. Rain hammered the tin roof like a war drum. Hale sagged against a pillar, sweat streaking his face. Mira worked quickly, sewing the wound with trembling hands but unshaken focus. Lena crouched beside him, recorder in hand, voice low but fierce.
Why your name? Why now? Hale's eyes flicked to hers, pain sharpening his tone.
Because I asked too many questions. Because I didn't look away. They want to silence me like the others. Seat 12's just the delivery chute.
Mira pulled up her laptop, jacking into a stolen feed. Data scrolled across the cracked screen. Passenger lists, updated in real time. She pointed to a line of code, breath hitching.
It's not random. They're inserting names manually. Division 7 is seeding the manifests. Lena's stomach turned. They're choosing sacrifices. Hale's face hardened, pale but unyielding.
Not sacrifices, recruits.
Engines rumbled outside the warehouse. Black beams cut through the rain-streaked windows. Division 7 had tracked them. Hale forced himself upright, gun stolen from an agent gripped in bloody hands. Go, now I'll hold them off.
Not a chance. None of us make it out if we split. The doors groaned under impact. Shouts echoed.
Hale staggered, blood dripping onto the concrete. He looked at Lena, eyes burning with something close to resignation.
They're already inside the cockpit.
The warehouse doors exploded inward, and through the smoke, Division 7 stormed, weapons raised, not to kill, but to capture. Chapter 8, The Ghost Flight. The warehouse reeked of gun oil and rain. Division 7 poured through the broken doors, shadows with rifles. Mira yanked Lena toward a side stairwell, Hale covering them despite the blood soaking his shirt.
Move now! Bullets shredded concrete, sparks danced. They sprinted into the night, lungs burning, boots pounding through puddles.
Minutes later, they burst through a service gate into an abandoned airfield on Heathrow's western fringe. Rusted hangars crouched in the fog, forgotten by history. One hangar glowed faintly, light bleeding from cracks.
Why is there power here? Hale raised his pistol, jaw set.
Because someone wants it that way. They crept inside.
In the center of the hangar sat an Airbus A320, paint-stripped, wings scarred from age, a relic grounded years ago. Yet its cabin lights glowed, instrument panels flickered, engines rumbled faintly, though no ground crew was present.
It's alive, Mira approached, hand brushing the fuselage. The skin vibrated with a low resonance, like the heartbeat of something not quite mechanical. It's sinking, like it's waiting for a pilot or a passenger.
Suddenly, the hangar doors slammed shut. Metal screeched, locks grinding. The A320's stairwell lowered automatically, hydraulics hissing. Back out! It's bait! But the floor trembled, a pressure sucking inward. Lena staggered, wind tugging at her coat as though the plane itself inhaled. Her name flashed in her mind, Seat 12A.
No, not like this. Still, step by step, she was pulled toward the yawning cabin.
The interior was immaculate, seats lined in perfect rows, belts buckled, windows sealed. But the air tasted wrong, ozone mixed with copper. Lena, Hale, and Mira stumbled inside as the stairwell retracted behind them with a hiss.
We're locked in. Lights brightened overhead. The intercom crackled.
Flight commencing. The cabin lurched, without fuel, without pilots. The ghost flight was waking. Hale forced the cockpit door. Inside, every instrument glowed, dials spinning, switches flipping as if guided by invisible hands. Altitude, rising. Engines, full thrust. It's flying itself. Mira stared at the displays, her voice taut.
No, it's being flown from the other side.
Lena sat at the console near the cockpit door, pulling data from the onboard computer. A manifest glowed across the screen. Passengers, 3, 12th Cross Lena, 12B Hale Ethan, 12C Chen Mira.
It knew we were here before we boarded.
Then this isn't abduction, it's recruitment.
As the plane climbed, the cabin began to shift. Lights flickered. Seats wavered as if painted on water. For an instant, Lena saw figures filling the rows. Passengers frozen, mouths erased, eyes wide. Then they vanished, leaving emptiness behind. The hum deepened, vibrating bones.
This is the Isle of Silence.
From the rear of the cabin, a shape emerged. Human, but blurred like a bad signal. Its face was void, skin stretching smooth where a mouth should be. It pointed toward row 12. Sit, Hale raised his pistol, firing. Bullets shredded air. The apparition dissolved like smoke, reforming instantly closer. Mira dragged Lena backward.
Don't engage, it feeds on interaction.
The plane shuddered. Windows blackened, no stars, no ground, just void. Instruments spun wild, altimeter meaningless, compass spinning. Hale gripped the controls, futile against invisible hands.
They've taken navigation. We're passengers now.
The intercom crackled once more.
Prepare to cross.
The cabin lights died. For a moment, pure silence. Then the windows flared white, blinding. Outside stretched a storm without end, black clouds boiling, lightning veins illuminating endless aisles of frozen faces staring back at them from the dark. The ghost flight had entered the gate, and there was no turning back. Chapter 9. The Other Side. The cabin had gone blind. Windows flared with white, then dimmed into black glass reflecting only their pale faces. The hum of the engines wasn't mechanical anymore. It was organic, alive, like the breathing of some unseen giant. Lena gripped the seat back, nails digging into fabric. Hale braced against the cockpit door, his wound seeping through the bandage. Mira stared into the shifting dark, recorder clutched like a talisman.
Where are we? Mira's voice was calm, clinical, but carried a tremor of awe.
A rupture space, between coordinates, between moments. The Isle of Silence isn't metaphor, it's literal.
The cabin stretched impossibly long. Rows multiplied, vanishing into haze. Shadows flickered where passengers should be. Shapes blurred in and out, faceless, their heads twitching in unison. They all faced row 12. Lena's throat tightened.
They're staring at me. Hale lifted his pistol, knuckles white.
Stay behind me. But the shadows weren't advancing. They were waiting.
Lena blinked. Suddenly, one shadow clarified into a form she knew. A woman in her 40s, brown hair pinned back, the scent of lavender rising faintly. Her mother, dead 10 years.
Mum? The figure tilted its head, smooth where a mouth should be. Yet Lena heard the voice inside her skull, warm and familiar.
Seat 12, darling. Sit and you'll understand.
Tears burned Lena's eyes. Hale grabbed her wrist.
It's not her. Don't listen. The figure shimmered, dissolving back into faceless blur.
Across the aisle, another vision took form. Hale froze. A soldier in fatigues, face half-burned, helmet cracked. His old unit commander, dead in Afghanistan.
You left me. Now it's your turn to stay behind. Hale's breath rasped, body rigid.
It's not real. It's not. The vision stepped forward, half its skull crumbling to ash before vanishing.
Mira trembled as a young boy appeared at the end of the aisle. Thin, frail, coughing into a cloth spotted with blood. Her brother, gone before she finished school.
You could have saved me. Save them instead. Mira closed her eyes, whispering through clenched teeth. You're not him. You're my guilt. Nothing more. The boy faded, but her recorder spiked, red lines carving across the display.
The air vibrated. A sound rolled through the cabin, low, metallic, endless. The bell. It shook the seats, rattled the bones in their skulls. The faceless passengers stood in unison, heads tilted, silence deeper than silence. The intercom cracked alive. Prepare the offering. Row 12 seatbelts unbuckled on their own, snapping open. The windows flickered. Outside, no sky, only a storm without horizon. Black clouds twisting into spirals, lightning veins illuminating countless other aircraft adrift. Ghost planes, dozens, hundreds. Frozen mid-flight, engines dead, cabins glowing faint. Lena's stomach dropped.
It's a graveyard. Mira's voice was taut with scientific awe. Not graveyard, holding pen.
One of the faceless passengers stepped into row 12, pointing at Lena.
Sit. Hale raised his pistol, firing. The apparition dissolved, but another replaced it instantly. You'll take her over my dead body. The voices swelled, hundreds in unison. Sit, sit, sit.
The floor trembled. Panels buckled. Oxygen masks dropped, hissing, but inside the masks were no hoses, only empty voids. The bell tolled again, shattering the overhead bins. Objects rained down, shoes, passports, toys from vanished flights. Evidence of decades. Lena clutched a child's rabbit, damp with salt, the same one she'd seen in the Bureau's artifacts.
They've been here all along.
Lightning split the storm. Through the window, a colossal figure loomed, stitched from shadow and light. Its face was smooth, mouthless, eyes vast and hollow. It bent toward the aircraft, voice echoing inside their skulls. "Seat 12, choose." The apparition filled the aisle, and Lena realized the choice wasn't just hers anymore. It was all of theirs. Chapter 10. The Vanishing World. The colossal entity filled the windows, stitched from storm and shadow, its mouthless face bending toward the cabin. The bell tolled again, vibrating every seat. Row 12 glowed faint white, belts snapping open, cushions vibrating like a heartbeat. The faceless passengers chanted in unison.
"Seat 12, choose."
Lena's knees trembled. Her body wanted to sit, compelled by invisible force. Hale braced her, jaw clenched despite the blood seeping from his shoulder. Mira's recorder screamed red, waveforms fracturing like glass.
If we sit, what happens? Mira's voice was taut, precise. They're not killing, they're recruiting. If one of us obeys, we're absorbed into the corridor, a permanent passenger.
Then none of us sit. The entity's hollow gaze shifted, storm eyes locking on Hale.
"You." Hale staggered, body dragged forward as though hooked. His feet scraped the floor.
Not giving in, Lena lunged, grabbing his arm, anchoring him to the seat frame. The force pulled at both of them, their muscles screaming.
Why us? Why seat 12? The faceless passengers turned in unison, their heads tilting like marionettes. 12 is the toll, one for the aisle, one for the world. Mira's eyes widened. It's a system, a balance. They take one to keep the corridor open and one to send back with the warning.
The entity leaned closer, lightning veins crawling across its shadowed form. Choose who stays, choose who returns. The cabin shook, panels splitting, windows glowing white. Time itself warped, seconds stretching thin. Hale's voice rasped steel under strain.
"Take me. I've seen enough. I won't drag this curse back."
No, it wants you to volunteer. That's the trap. Mira slammed her recorder down, voice sharp as a scalpel. Listen, if neither of you sits, the corridor collapses. Every plane it holds will be shredded across time. 200 lives on Flight 342 gone instantly. Hundreds more across the graveyard. We have to choose.
The chanting grew deafening. Seat 12, seat 12, seat 12. Lena's chest heaved. Her mind flashed through images. The families in the terminal, the crying children, the father clutching his daughter's passport. She met Hale's eyes.
It has to be me.
No, don't you dare.
I'm already marked. My name's been there from the start.
Hale's face cracked. Pain, rage, grief before he grabbed her shoulders. Then I'm not letting you go alone. They both sat. Row 12 glowed blinding white. The cabin buckled, air ripping, faceless passengers collapsing like paper. Mira screamed, lunging forward.
No, only one is supposed to sit. But the entity's thunderous voice rolled through them.
2 entered, 1 returns. The aisle tore open into light. Hale was yanked upward, body dissolving into the storm. Lena's scream fractured into silence. And then, darkness. Epilogue. The next flight. London. Weeks later, the storm had passed. Heathrow ran as if nothing had happened. Families filed through terminals, flights announced with polite chimes. Air traffic control scanned the skies, all blips green. Then, a new arrival blinked onto the screen. No transponder, no flight plan. Controllers leaned forward, confused. The jet glided in silently, engines perfect. The cabin door opened. A single passenger stepped down the stairs. Her coat was torn. Her eyes were hollow.
Name? The clipboard trembled in the officer's hands. Cross, Lena.
And when she lifted her face to the floodlights, her mouth was gone. The end. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends about My Listening Library.